Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the 6th edition of Fantasy Express. I'm your host, Keaton Hain. We are live here on WERW Real College Radio. It is once again a very cold, very wet, and very rainy day here in Syracuse, New York. Of course, the Syracuse Orange will meet NC State today. It's parent weekend, and speaking of parent weekend, one of my parents, and along with the majority of my family, are actually here today, right here with me in studio. We have my father, Michael Hain.
Good morning, everyone.
We have my uncle, John Capilano.
Good morning.
We have my cousin, Justin Galzinski.
Hello there.
And we have the family nanny, Ralph.
Good morning.
They will be with me throughout the entirety of the show. We're going to be talking some great football stuff, anything from fantasy football to just debates going on in the football world. It's going to be really fun, really exciting. We got a lot of great information for you, so be sure to stay with us. We're going to go to a song real fast here. We're going to start off with some ZZ Ward. When we come back here, we'll jump right into 4th and Inches. Once again, that's ZZ Ward, and we'll be right back here on WERW Real College Radio.
Like I'm screaming out a bunch of whispers, and every word you say to me is like a bee sting leaving blisters. There ain't no honey left in this hive, there ain't no sugar nowhere inside. I hate to love you, I love to hate you, I just can't shake you. Oh, you please, please, please quit dragging my heart through them cold. Oh, please, please, please stop trying to fix it, 'cause baby, it's broke. When it's late at night and you call me, 'cause I got another man fixing my blues. You should never, never worry about nothing, baby, 'cause I'll never love someone new the way I love you. You're the static, just enough dramatic shock to drive me crazy. Ain't no man could take your place, you know it, baby, but I just can't stand you, so it's got to end. There ain't no honey left in this hive, there ain't no sugar nowhere inside. I hate to love you, I love to hate you, I just can't shake you. Baby, when you want me, when you crave me, when you need it, if you ain't got the time to save me when I'm falling, then just beat it. 'Cause boy, I can't be your medicine, your Ritalin when you're fiending. If you won't be my knight in shining when I'm crying, when I'm screaming. Oh, you please, please, please quit dragging my heart through them cold. Oh, please, please, please stop trying to fix it, 'cause baby, it's broke. When it's late at night and you call me, 'cause I got another man fixing my blues. You should never, never worry about nothing, baby, 'cause I'll never love someone new the way I love you.
Will they?
Trains, trains, and more trains. That, of course, is always the theme here on Fantasy Express. As a reminder, we are live here on WERW Real College Radio. It is a full house for the 6th edition of 4th and Inches. For those of you just tuning in, my first-time listeners, what I do is I go through all of the games, break that down, pick out a player from each team, where if you have them on your bench, if you can get them in your waiver list, be sure to pick them up and put them in a starting position. So we're going to get right into things. First, we have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the Cleveland Browns. Now, for the Buccaneers, I'm actually highlighting a kicker on this one. Patrick Murray, averaging 6, last week had 10. He's projected 5 this week. The Bucs are overall just struggling on offense a lot. And really, this is one of those situations where you kind of pick the guy who is most likely to score, and I think it's the kicker because, they're so inconsistent at running backs, quarterbacks, wide receivers. There's really no solid player on the Buccaneers. So once again, it's Patrick Murray, kicker for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. On the other side of things, we have the Cleveland Browns, and I'm going with Brian Hoyer, quarterback, averaging 13, last week had 15, and this week is projected 19 against a Bucs defense that is ranked 30th in passing yards. Gentlemen, who do we think's winning this one? Buccaneers, Browns. We'll just go around. Dad, I'll start with you.
I'm going to go with the Cleveland Browns.
All right. One for the Browns.
Yeah, I think the Browns will take this game as well.
Justin?
I'd have to agree with the Browns.
Ralph?
And the Browns also.
All right. It's a clean sweep. We're all picking the Cleveland Browns to beat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Next, in a very interesting game, it's the Arizona Cardinals going up against the Dallas Cowboys. For the Cardinals, I'm highlighting Carson Palmer, who's averaging 10 points right now. Average would be normally much higher if he did play a couple games. Of course, Palmer was out earlier in the season with some injury trouble. Last week he had 21. This week he is projected 13. To put his season into context for you, if we would spread that out, Palmer is actually en route for 4,500 yards, 30 touchdowns on 600 attempts. Certainly very good numbers there. On the other side of things for the Cowboys, I highlighted wide receiver Terrence Williams. I think Dez Bryant will garner a lot of tension from the cornerbacks of Arizona, and Williams will sometimes slip through the cracks, steal a couple catches away from Bryant. He's averaging 9. Last week had 6. He's projected 11. So this is a very interesting game. I want to kind of put this segment on hold here. First, let's go around. Who's going to win, Dad?
I believe it's going to be the Dallas Cowboys, even though Uncle John is still, sitting here as a Cowboys fan, but I definitely want the Cowboys to win because, of course, the Cardinals are in the same division as the Seattle Seahawks, so I do need a loss by the Cardinals.
That's very true.
And also, I'd like to say, Lena, see, Keaton took Dez Bryant for you in your fantasy football league, so don't cry this weekend.
Uncle John, what you got for me? You're the Cowboys fan.
Well, I wouldn't be much of a fan if I picked against them, and they're having a half-decent year. No one thought they'd have more than 6 wins throughout the whole season. Mm-hmm. I like the Cowboys today. I think they can run the ball. I think if they can continue to do that, the defense is playing well enough. They're in Texas. I expect them to win with or without Tony Romo back there.
Justin?
I'm going to have to agree with the Cowboys.
All right. And Ralph?
The boys.
The boys. Once again, it is a clean sweep. I, too, am going with the Cowboys. So far, we're all good. We need to start disagreeing, though, really fast.
Oh, that can happen quickly.
Well, we could bring a woman into the room. That would change that in a hurry.
Moving on, we have the Philadelphia Eagles and the Houston Texans. And for the Eagles, I'm highlighting Jeremy Maclin, number 1 wide receiver for that team, averaging 13. Last week had 30 points. In addition, he had that big catch where he crashed right into the Gatorade table. If you haven't seen that, be sure to check that out. This week, he is projected 15. Little bit of a history statistic here for you. Last week, he had 12 receptions, 187 receiving yards, and 2 touchdowns. The last Eagle to do that to a T, so to have those exact same numbers that I mentioned, was Harold Carmichael, 1973, for all you history buffs out there of the NFL. For the Houston Texans, I'm highlighting Ryan Fitzpatrick, the quarterback. The beard, I call him. Have you guys seen this beard?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's out of control.
Wicked.
I don't even know how he
Justin's starting to look like him a little bit. Yeah.
I'm trying.
He's trying. Fitzpatrick is averaging 12. Last week had 14. He's projected 18 this week. The Eagles' defense, despite being ranked very high in fantasy football, they are actually allowing the 3rd most fantasy football points per game to quarterbacks. The reason they are ranked so high is because over the past couple weeks, they've had a lot of touchdowns for their defense. That average number they're allowing to quarterbacks is 19.3. So, gentlemen, let's go around the table. Philadelphia Eagles or the Houston Texans in this one?
All right, for my pick, for my co-workers who are listening and actually are Eagles fans, and we go through this every weekend. So my pick to you, Rob and John, will be the Houston Texans.
Oh, that was low. Uncle John, what you got for me?
Well, there's no way on God's green earth I could pick the Philadelphia Eagles. I don't know. Do we know if Sproles is playing?
As of right now, he's listed as questionable.
Okay, I'm going to pick the Texans just because I have to pick the Texans.
Justin.
I think we all are obliged to pick the Texans on this one. Yeah, definitely going to have to go with the Texans.
All right, and Ralph.
The Texans.
The Texans.
Didn't you have a joke or something about?
Oh, that leads me into my joke. I forgot.
All right.
For all you, well, I won't give it away yet. But what has 500 fingers and no rings?
Don't know what that could
Keaton,
be.
could you answer the question, please?
It is the Philadelphia Eagles.
Yes.
Points for you.
Yes. Thank you
Points
very
for
much.
you.
Thank you, Mike, for bringing that up.
All right.
All righty. Next game, we have the New York Jets and the Kansas City Chiefs. The Jets right now. What, is that a Jets chant going on over there? Wow. Can you really be doing a Jets chant now? One win. I'm actually picking a kicker on this one again. It's Nick Folk, who's averaging 8. Last week had 17. Another one of these situations where it's who else. The quarterback situation is up in the air. Chris Ivory seems to have either 25 points or 4 points. You never really know what's going on. No solid wide receiver on the Jets, if you ask me. Defense not so hot. Once again, that's Nick Folk for the New York Jets. On the other side of things, for the Kansas City Chiefs, I'm picking Alex Smith, the quarterback, averaging 13. Last week had 10, projected 17 this week. The Jets are ranked 32nd against the pass in the NFL. Now, gentlemen, going around here, are we picking the New York Jets or are we picking the Kansas City Chiefs? Dad, I'll start with you.
Kansas City Chiefs, and see Andy Reid in that big red jacket of his.
Uncle John.
Yeah, I don't think the Jets have much of anything going this year, so I'm going to go with the Chiefs as well.
Justin.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a first-class butt kicking by the Chiefs.
Nice.
And I totally agree, the Chiefs.
Now this game is very interesting because we were all sitting in the hotel room yesterday and we were talking about the whole coaching situation. And we mentioned the Raiders, but here we mentioned the Jets. And Dad, I believe it was you or Uncle John, somebody brought it up where the Jets over the past couple seasons really have not been able to find success, and yet Rex Ryan is still around. Now, could we elaborate on for the audience here, just kind of bring up the points that we had in our conversation yesterday about why Ryan is still around and things like that? So, Dad? Or
Who else
Uncle
you
John?
going to get? Who else is going to come and coach nowadays? I mean, you're not going to bring these college guys in. First of all, the game of college and pro is two different games.
Absolutely.
So they can't come in and coach. How many have tried it and ended up going back to the college game? So who's out there? You know, everybody wants Gruden, but why would you come back and go to the Jets when you can show up every week at a different city? And
Gruden is a name that has been thrown around so many times, just really in the past, 10 years for a lot of different teams. And I don't know why. Like you said, I really don't see him coming back, especially to a team that's struggling like that. When he's in the job situation that he's in. So very good points we're talking. I too am picking the Chiefs. Once again, another clean sweep here. We need to bring my mom in here. We need to bring Ann Coke in here, something like that. Next, it's the Battle of the Jungle Cats. Was the Jacksonville Jaguars meets the Cincinnati Bengals. For the Jaguars, I'm highlighting Denard Robinson, former standout quarterback at the University of Michigan. He's now playing running back for the Jaguars. Last week had 11. This week is projected 14. In the 2 weeks that he has played, he has had 2 100-yard-plus outings. So definitely emerging into that number one running back role for the Jaguars. It's about time they really get somebody. Maurice Jones-Drew a couple years ago really only had one good season with them. He's been plagued with injury trouble. Guys like Storm Johnson really haven't been able to fill those shoes. Toby Gerhart, no, not really. So look for Denard Robinson really to break out in this one. For the Bengals, I'm highlighting Jeremy Hill. He's going to be taking the snaps at running back for the Bengals. Giovanni Bernard is out with a hip and a clavicle injury this week. Jeremy Hill is projected 16 this coming week, and he's going against a 16th ranked Jaguars run defense. Gentlemen, Jaguars, Bengals.
where's the game being played at?
Cincinnati.
Cincinnati Bengals.
Would you have said Jacksonville if it was in Jacksonville?
Yes, I would have.
Why is that?
Home field,
Okay.
83%
That is,
of teams that play at home win on a Sunday.
and what was the percent of teams that play at 4 o'clock?
It jumped up a little bit. I think it was like 85, 86%.
85.
I mean, first of all, who sits around and looks up a stat like that?
Well, apparently you do. Uncle John, Jaguars, Bengals.
I think the Jaguars are in that 17% where that's not true, where you win at home. I think they should be all arrested for impersonating a professional football team.
Oh,
So I'm going with Cincinnati.
Justin.
I'm going to go with Cincinnati as well. I think Dalton is going to be the toughest quarterback they've faced in a while.
I have Dalton in my fantasy league this coming week, so hopefully he can perform for me. Looking for win number 6. 6 in a row. Ralph.
The Bengals.
Again, we're all in agreement.
Yep.
Another clean sweep.
The world would be so good if it was just men.
Next, we have the San Diego Chargers in an interesting matchup with the Miami Dolphins. For the Chargers, I'm highlighting Brandon Oliver, running back for them. He's projected 7, little less projection than we've seen him over the past couple weeks. But the reason he is projected at 7, he will most likely get the most touches, 15 to 20, they're saying. Ryan Matthews is still not back from an injury. So once again, that's Brandon Oliver for the San Diego Chargers. On the other side of things for the Miami Dolphins, it's a battle of running backs, as I will be highlighting Lamar Miller, averaging 11. Last week only had 9, but this week is projected 14. The Chargers have surrendered 123.3 rush yards to opposing running backs over the past 3 weeks, so some big numbers that the Chargers defense is giving up there. I think we might be split here, but we'll see what happens. Dad, start with you. San Diego or Miami? The game is in Miami if you want to use your home field advantage logic.
Chargers.
Uncle John.
I like the Chargers.
Justin.
I'm going to have to go with Miami.
Ralph.
Chargers.
I, too, am picking the Chargers. So, Justin, you're the lone wolf on this one. Miami Dolphins. I think it certainly could happen. I mean, Ryan Tannehill and the Miami Dolphins have maybe not been so much inconsistent. Last week, of course, was the second week in a row they picked up a win. They're right there as far as wild card goes. I mean, they've competed and played with a lot of teams over the years and beat a lot of good teams. We've seen Tannehill beat Brady already, so why wouldn't he be able to beat Rivers and the Chargers? So once again, the majority says Chargers over the Dolphins. Next, we have the Redskins going up against the Minnesota Vikings. For the Redskins, I'm highlighting Robert Griffin III. You heard me correctly. He's making his return at quarterback this coming Sunday.
For a quarter.
We'll talk about that in a little bit. Vikings are currently allowing the second fewest fantasy points per game, however, to quarterbacks. A very interesting statistic because it doesn't really correlate with the overall record of the Minnesota Vikings. For the Vikings, I'm going with Cordero Patterson, wide receiver. The Redskins are currently allowing the 12th most fantasy points per game to wide receivers. Patterson seems to be becoming more involved in the offense as of late. So once again, that's Cordero Patterson for the Minnesota Vikings. So, gentlemen, a little bit of an interesting matchup here. Two teams with not so good records. The Redskins, the Vikings. Who we picking?
Washington Redskins. Are they at home?
No, they're not. They're on the road.
Washington Redskins.
Okay.
Sticking with them. Well, they beat the Cowboys.
Thanks
In Dallas.
Yeah, thanks for reminding me of that. Actually, I was going to say if the Redskins can play the same kind of defense they played last week against Dallas, I would have to think that they would beat the Vikings, whether it's in Washington or Minnesota, so I'm going with the Redskins.
All right. Justin.
I'm going to say the Vikings because, first of all, I am a fan, and second of all, just because I said so. So that is.
Ralph?
The Redskins on the road.
Now, I am actually going with the Vikings on this one. I had the Redskins circled, but I'm not really sure what RG3 will do. I mean, he's very injury prone. But let's talk about that Redskins-Cowboys game just for a quick second. I know you don't really want to reminisce. You're giving me a look over there. But watching the game, what seemed to be the difference? I mean, Dallas over the past couple weeks putting up great numbers on the offense, and really they just couldn't seem to move the ball or find the end zone. The final score of that one was, what, like 17-16, something like that?
It was 2017.
2017. So
Overtime.
It was overtime, very close and
Yeah.
rather low-scoring game. So watching the game, I mean, John, this isn't just a question to you. This is anybody. What did we see that really brought the Redskins, up to a level with the Cowboys?
Well, first of all, you have the rivalry, which just goes back many, many years.
Absolutely.
Contrary to what all Philadelphia fans think, the Cowboys and Redskins are the NFC East rivalry, not the Eagles and Cowboys. But the Redskins always seem to play well against Dallas, and even that one year the Cowboys were 1-15 in Jimmy Johnson's first year, the victory was against the Redskins. So that goes back. The history's there. The Redskins always play them tough. The Cowboys turn the ball over too much. And why they put Tony Romo back in at the end of the game just shocked me.
Yeah, and especially going down with a back injury and all his medical history. We'll talk about that later. Romo is questionable for this coming Sunday. So,
one of the guys at work said he looked like a drunk Fred Sanford when he came back on the field, and he didn't look good.
No,
and they deserved to lose. But I think that was it in a nutshell. Came in.
Yeah, there you go. All righty, so. We're a little split here. 3 are saying Redskins, 2 are saying Vikings. We'll see what happens this coming Sunday. Next, we have the St. Louis Rams and the San Francisco 49ers, battle of the NFC West. For the Rams, I'm highlighting Kenny Britt, a wide receiver who's projected 11 this week. The reason I highlighted Britt is because Brian Quick, number 1 wide receiver for Austin Davis on that team, will be out this coming week. He's down with an injury, so once again, that's Kenny Britt for the Rams. On the other side of things, for the 49ers, it's Anquan Bolden, who's projected 11, currently and quietly on pace for 1,022 yards this season. Seems to be a favorite go-to for Colin Kaepernick as well. Very interesting matchup. These teams have already met this year. Rams were actually up 14-0 at one point. San Francisco storm back and, of course, pick up the win. So I'm very interested to see what my panel here will say. Who you picking, Dad?
I'm going with the St. Louis Rams.
Okay.
Again, I need some help in that division, so I take anything possibly that is given to me for those Seattle Seahawks, your Super Bowl champs of last year.
Uncle John.
Well, I'm leaning towards the 49ers in this game. I think they're just a little more well-rounded than the Rams.
Justin.
I'm going to have to go with the 49ers as well. They're coming off a bye, aren't they?
I believe so, yes.
Okay, yeah, I'm going to go with the 49ers.
And Ralph.
A bye, a couple of rest, the whole deal. 49ers.
I like the 49ers at home.
Alrighty, I too am picking the 49ers, so Dad, you stand alone on this one.
Just because Ralph's been there every 3 months, you got to take the 49ers.
but let's talk about the 49ers really quick. And Ralph, maybe you can elaborate on this since you are the Oakland Raiders fan. But over the hey,
who?
Be nice over there. So the talks have been lately that Jim Harbaugh is in shopping talks with the Oakland Raiders to basically come over there, clean house. And there's a big debate about this because, of course, if we look back historically, Harbaugh has come in and totally flipped the 49ers around. They were absolutely awful from a time of like 2002 to about 2008, 2009. He comes in, I think a grand total, he's about 13 losses in the upper 40s, lower 50s in wins over the course of a couple seasons. So, and again, this isn't just a question to you, Ralph, but I'm directing it to you because you are the Raiders fans. Would you like to see Harbaugh come in, and if so, what do you think? What do you think he could do with that team?
Well, I like to see him come in because we haven't had a winning season since 2002, and something's got to change drastically.
Definitely, and how long do you think it would take? Because these things happen overnight. What would you suggest that they do? Should they go after a specific position in the draft? Should they retool it? At something. I'm trying to point out a specific that they can do to really get the Raiders back on track.
Well, I think they need some receivers because I'm really high on their quarterback car. So, I mean, we need some receivers.
I do.
And some running backs, too.
Yeah, definitely. Darren McFadden, of course.
It's getting old.
Getting old and really historically has not been healthy. I mean, I really like Derek Carr as well. I think he's a great talent. I think he's got a lot of... what's the word I'm looking for?
Potential.
Potential. Thank you very much. I knew it began with a P.
That's a big word for your father.
Yeah.
That was a test. That was a test over there. So we'll go to our next game, and this is my game of the week. I think this will be a great matchup. It's the Denver Broncos going against the New England Patriots. I'm sure we'll be hearing about it all. If you flip on SportsCenter right now, I'm sure they'll be talking about it. They'll be talking about it right until kickoff. So for the Broncos, you can highlight a lot of guys, but if you want to go a little deeper, I'm highlighting Ronnie Hillman, running back projected 17, going against a 28th ranked Pats running defense, and Hillman is averaging 4.9 yards per carry. It'd be a little too easy to pick a Peyton Manning or really any of the receivers on the Broncos team. So once again, that's Ronnie Hillman for the Broncos. For the Patriots, I'm highlighting Brandon LaFell, former wide receiver for the Carolina Panthers, now has found a new home at New England. Last week at 18, projected 12, seems to be emerging as Tom Brady's new passing buddy. Really, besides Rob Gronkowski, we've seen Julian Edelman virtually drop off in the past 3 weeks. I am speaking from personal experience because I do have Edelman on my fantasy league, and he's been causing me quite some frustration. But once again, that is Brandon LaFell. And to throw out another statistics, the Broncos defense has allowed 423 yards and 3 touchdowns to wide receivers in the past 2 games. So I definitely expect us to be split on this one. Broncos-Patriots. The game is in New England. Dad, you're first.
I am going to take the New England Patriots. Number one, I am not a Peyton Manning fan at all. And I believe the weather forecast for New England, is that a Sunday night game or?
I believe it's not the Sunday night game. It's a late game.
Late
it's a
game.
4
I don't think
game.
the weather forecast is really promising up in that area.
Mm-hmm.
So for Manning to come out and throw the ball the 50 times, he'll probably just throw it 40 times. But I am definitely going with the Patriots.
Uncle John.
Well, Mike made a good point. I believe that the Patriots defense, will play better today in this game. They haven't been playing all that well. I just think that the defense on the Broncos side hasn't been doing real well, even with the addition of Ware on the front line. I don't think they're putting a lot of pressure on the quarterback, and if Brady gets the time, I think he'll take him apart. I expect it to be somewhat close, but I think the Patriots will win.
Justin.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a close game as well. But yeah, I think I'm going to have to go Patriots.
Okay. Ralph?
Got to go with the Patriots. You never root for the Broncos. I just hope Manning chokes on Omaha.
I'm very, very surprised because we are in total decision. 5-0 sweep. We're all picking the Patriots this week. Now, going back to your comment, Dad, why are you not a Peyton Manning fan? I'm very curious. Because he seems like a pretty okay guy. Is it just the focus that the media does?
Yes,
or
definitely the media just makes him a lot better. I mean, yeah, you're going to break touchdown records and yardage if you come out and throw the ball 50 times a game.
Yeah.
I mean, they did it all last year, and we all know what happened at the end of the season.
We absolutely did.
Okay, that was shut down. I mean, any quarterback. Ralph could go out and throw 50 times and maybe get 100 yards passing or something. But I mean, it might take him a couple of years to get up to 3, 4, 5,000. But I mean, that's just my feeling. You come out and throw the ball all the time, and now the way the quarterbacks are protected.
Oh, definitely.
You can't lay a hand on him. You got to hit him in a certain area. You can't do this and do that. And actually, I believe Peyton Manning gets a little bit more of a lead way of not being hit. So if you can stand back there all day and just pick and throw the ball wherever you want. Again, defensive backs not hit a receiver anymore. Mm-hmm. You're going to get your TDs and your yardage. I just don't like them.
All right, fair enough. You heard it here. Oh, go ahead, Justin.
No, I was going to say, and he also made one of the worst nationwide commercials in the history of the world, so that we have to consider that as well.
I cannot stand that commercial. You got to understand, I have Sunday ticket, so it's not a live broadcast, so they show the same 4 or 5 commercials. It's the nationwide commercial, it's the Dr. Dre Beats commercial, it's that stupid commercial with Aaron Rodgers and those foreign weightlifters. Oh my God, so annoying.
Yes, it is.
Yes, and if I have to see him eating that chicken parm sandwich one more time, I don't know what I'm going to do.
Me neither. You heard it here. Everyone's saying Patriots over Broncos. Moving on. Perhaps game of the week as well. The Oakland Raiders traveled to Seattle to meet the Seattle Seahawks. For the Raiders, I'm highlighting James Jones, wide receiver, best friend of Derek Carr right now. He's projected 11. Again, the number 1 receiver. And should this game get ugly very fast, Jones will certainly be the guy who will get quote-unquote garbage time stats. He'll be able to pad his stats and come through for any fantasy owners. For Seattle, I'm going to highlight their defense on this one. Projected 9, the Raiders are actually allowing the 8th most fantasy points per game to opposing defenses and special teams. So a statistic definitely worth mentioning. The fact that we are in Seattle, breaking the sound barrier or registering earthquakes, whatever it is they do over there. Gentlemen, Oakland or Seattle?
Well, I am definitely taking the Seahawks, but I do believe this game is going to be a lot closer than what everybody is saying. I mean, Seattle has 8-9 guys out right now with injuries.
True.
They're second to last in interceptions. They only have 3 so far this year.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the game's going to be close. Not a big 42-0 blowout, but I do see a 14-point victory for the Seahawks.
Uncle John?
Well, as much as I like the family nanny Ralph and my sister-in-law Lori, I have to pick the Seahawks, and I agree with Mike. I think it's going to be closer. Instead of 50-0, I think it's going to be 49-0 Seahawks.
I thought we decided that Ralph was the personal assistant, not the nanny.
I'm
this
sorry.
weekend.
Yes, personal assistance.
Right, because we're all over 20 years old, so
That
I
is
think he
very
was the
true.
personal assistant.
Speak for yourself.
I think he's going to have to wear a shirt so we know what to call him.
Oh.
That was a low blow. Justin.
I'm going to have to go with the Seahawks.
All right, and Ralph.
The
Come on.
upset special of the week.
Yes.
As Chris Berman would say, the Raiders.
All right, the Oakland Raiders
Are
in
you
this
drunk,
one.
Ralph?
No, I'm high.
Put your shirt back on, Ralph.
Ralph, unfortunately, you're going to have to stand alone on this one. I'm going to go with the Seattle Seahawks. Big fan of the home field advantage. I would really love to see the Raiders get that first win. Unfortunately, I don't think it's going to be against Seattle this coming week. Moving on, it seems like the Steelers are on prime time every single weekend. They're going to be on prime time again. The late night game Sunday night are the Baltimore Ravens and the Pittsburgh Steelers. I also feel like these two teams play each other every single
every
week.
other week.
Am I the only one who
something.
feels that way? No.
I agree.
Alrighty. For the Ravens, I'm highlighting Justin Forsett, projected 9. He is the running back going against a 29th ranked Pittsburgh run defense. For the Steelers, it's Big Ben Roethlisberger playing at home, coming off of a big week. 44 total fantasy points, 500 yards, 6 touchdowns. Great numbers there. The Ravens are 10th against the pass, so maybe words of caution. Ravens, ranked towards the upper level of defenses. Roethlisberger is also projected 20. So, very interesting game, of course, again. Let's go around the panel here. Ravens, Steelers. Dad, who are you taking?
I'm going to take the Steelers over Baltimore.
All right.
It will be a kind of a mountain to climb, but also, with family members
That was a pun.
who is getting ready to climb the mountain of
Mount Everest.
Mount Everest for Normandy.
There you go.
I'm taking the Steelers.
All right. Uncle John?
Well, I text Normandy every week before the games, and I always say, let's go, whoever the Steelers are playing. I do believe that Baltimore will win this game. Sorry, Normandy.
Sorry, sister. Justin, who you picking?
So Steelers are at home?
Yes.
I'm going to have to go with Steelers.
All right. Ralph.
The Ravens, just because I don't like the Steelers.
Ouch. I'm going with the Steelers on this one. So that's a pretty good split right there. 3-2. The majority says Steelers, but should be a great game regardless. And then finally, our Monday night game is the Indianapolis Colts and the New York Giants. The Colts, of course, coming after a week that they got blown out by the Steelers. Really not expected especially if you talk about how well the Colts have been playing over the past couple weeks. For the Colts, I am highlighting Ahmad Bradshaw. He is my running back this week in fantasy football, consistently excelling, averaging 12, projected 14 this coming week. He's only had 2 weeks where he's had single-digit games. Definitely a stat worth throwing out there. For the Giants, it's also running back Andre Williams, averaging 5.3. That is a little low because he came into the league a little later in the season, filling in for the injured Rashad Jennings, but he is projected 12 this week against the Indianapolis Colts. The Colts are also ranked 20th overall in the NFL as far as run defenses. So, gentlemen, our last game here, the Indianapolis Colts and the New York Giants. Who are we picking?
Indianapolis Colts.
Why?
Because I just don't like the Giants.
That's a valid reason.
I mean, if I actually had to pick I wouldn't pick anybody. I think it's a horrible game, but I would definitely take the Colts. Plus, there's a guy I work with. He looks like Andrew Luck, so I would take the Colts.
Uncle John.
Yeah, I'll go with the Colts, mainly because the Giants are in the East competing with Dallas. But I also want to see that famous Eli Manning look where he throws an interception and wonders what happened.
He does seem clueless
Yeah.
at some point.
You gotta love that face.
Justin, go ahead.
You know, I was going to say the Giants, but I'm kind of excited now to see that face. I'm going to have to go with the Colts.
All right, Ralph.
Did the Giants have a bye last week?
They did. Yes.
I'm going to go with the Giants
Why?
just because they're at home.
Okay.
At 83%.
83%. There you go.
Win at home.
Unfortunately, Ralph, you
Only you would come up with that fact.
Unfortunately, Ralph, you will again be standing alone on this one. I, too, am picking the Indianapolis Colts. The Giants, I just think, are so inconsistent. I really, really like Andrew Luck at the quarterback. And let's talk about this for a second, because Andrew Luck, certainly over the past couple of years, is the exception of college quarterbacks coming out and really excelling in the NFL. I mean, you talk about guys like Robert Griffin III, nothing right now. Johnny Manziel, thankfully we haven't heard anything from him. He should remain on the bench the rest of the season. Cam Newton has one playoff appearance. Other than that, he's doing okay. He's not doing horrible. But, if you want to go further back, such as Vince Young, Jamarcus Russell, all of these great quarterbacks, they appear in national title games, some Heisman winners, really not performing well in the NFL. I just kind of want to go around the panel. And if we start to repeat ourselves, then we'll stop it. But I just want to go around the panel and examine why this is. Why does it seem that all of the great quarterbacks who come out of college, even mention names like Blaine Gabbert, great quarterback in college, and why they cannot succeed in the NFL? Dad, I'll start with you.
Well, I think one of the reasons why Andrew Luck is having the career that he's having is, I believe, his offensive coach from when he was at Stanford
Yes.
is actually on the coaching staff of the Colts.
I did not know that.
So you have your three, I think, didn't he play 4 years in college?
Yeah.
And the 3 years, I believe, that he's in the NFL. So that's 7 years that those two guys have worked together. So I think that is a big advantage for the success of Andrew Luck.
That's a very good point. Uncle John?
Well, most of the names that you mentioned were all more of a running quarterback than they were a throwing quarterback. Mm-hmm. And I believe in college you can get away with that. In the NFL, you're playing against much more sophisticated defense.
Very big,
Yes.
very fast, very strong men.
And I think it takes a lot to come into the NFL and learn the game and learn what you can and cannot do as a quarterback. And as you can see with Griffin, he ran a lot the first year and just got beat up.
Absolutely.
And I think that's a huge thing. I think the guys that play in the college systems, that play the pro sets and run the pro offenses, have much better chance of succeeding. And as your father said, Andrew Luck was in that situation.
Right, and that's why you had these the quarterbacks that we were naming come out of the two major conferences in the college, the SEC and the one that Texas is in.
Is that the Big 12?
Big 12.
The Big 12. And all they do is the running quarterbacks.
Yeah.
So it doesn't work in the NFL. I mean, again, going back to with the Peyton Manning, you can stand there and throw all day because you're not going to be hurt. So why run out of the pocket?
Makes sense. Justin, anything to add?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with John 100% on that. I mean, most college situations are completely different than the NFL. I mean,
That's true. I'm his ride home yesterday.
exactly.
Ralph, anything to add? I know you're not really a follower of college football, but...
Oh, yeah, I am.
Oh, you are?
Yeah.
He takes the winner every year. Can you tell by his T-shirts?
Well, so do you. I mean, Seattle, like
Since
every
they
year.
came in the league, I've been a Seahawks fan.
Yeah. I totally agree with Uncle John.
Right,
okay,
right.
on the quarterbacks coming in the NFL.
All right. And he's not even your ride home either. So.
He will be if he keeps that up.
And who paid for the hotel bill?
Oh. Go ahead, Uncle John.
And Coco, did you hear what Ralph said?
What did he say? Women are wrong again?
Oh, my goodness. We are having way too much fun here. WERW, Real College Radio. You're listening to the Fantasy Express. That's going to wrap up 4th and Inches.
Wow, it took over an hour almost.
But, we had some great discussion. I told you I wrote a little bit less. I thought we would have some back and forth bantering going on. So we're going to take a break here. Everyone will gather their breath. We'll come back. We'll be talking about some more great information, a little bit of Imagine Dragons here, and then we'll be right back on the Fantasy Express, WERW, Real College Radio.
wish I could remember everything inside of me. Just wanted to fit in. I was never one for pretenders, and everything I tried to be just wouldn't settle in. If I told you what I was, would you turn your back on me? And if I seemed dangerous, would you be scared? I get the feeling just because everything I touch isn't dark enough, that this problem lies in me. I'm only a man with a cable that got me. I'm taking a stand to escape what's inside me. A monster, a monster. I've turned into a monster, a monster, a monster, and it keeps getting stronger. Can I clear my conscience if I'm different from the rest? Do I have to run and hide? I never said that I want this. This burden came to me, and it's made its home inside. If I told you what I was, would you turn your back on me? And if I seem dangerous, would you be scared? I get the feeling just because everything I touch isn't dark enough, that this problem lies in me. I'm only a man with a cable that got me. I'm taking a stand to escape what's inside me. A monster, a monster. I've turned into a monster, a monster, a monster, and it keeps getting stronger. I'm only a man with a cable that got me. I'm taking a stand to escape what's inside me. A monster, a monster. I've turned into a monster, a monster, a monster, and it keeps getting stronger.
We are back here on WERW Real College Radio. We got about 15 minutes left, 2 more segments. We got plenty of time here. Now it's time for a very quick segment this week. It's trains with square wheels. And sometimes with trains with square wheels, they don't really go. I highlight all of the injured players this week that you really got to pay attention. So let's get right into it. Gentlemen, if you want to comment on any of these players at any time, feel free to chime in. No questions asked there. First, it's Calvin Johnson, wide receiver for the Detroit Lions with an ankle injury. Is listed as questionable this coming week. However, he said himself he is definitely expecting to play. That will be a big sigh of relief for any fantasy owners for Calvin Johnson. Really has not performed well at all, even when he was playing. He had 1 week that he had 28 points. After that, I believe the highest he had was 7 or 8. Not numbers that we are used to when it comes to Calvin Johnson. Moving on, we have Doug Martin, running back for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers with an ankle injury. Has not practiced all week. Is listed as questionable, but most likely I would move him to the doubtful. Most likely will not play category. A.J. Green with a giant toe injury. I'm not really understanding the toe injury. You know, you play in the NFL, you're getting paid to do that. I think you can tape it to the next one over, get out there and play. But I'm not in his shoes, you know. I don't really know what goes on there. So A.J. Green is not a lock to play. However, this week he has been a full participant in practice. Also, Uncle John, of course, you're interested in this one. Tony Romo, back injury. He has not practiced this week so far. We'll see what happens. I really don't know. I would like to say that Romo might be out there, but you really don't know. If the Cowboys just want to have him take a week off just to make sure he's healthy, I mean, the last thing they would really want for him is to get hurt and really ruin a great season that is happening. Uncle John, I don't know if you had any further comments on Romo or anything like that.
Well, what I would think would be if he doesn't play this week, or if he's questionable, as they say, then he should have never re-entered the game Monday night.
Very true.
Was a point that I thought many Cowboy fans discussed after that happened. I don't think he should play. I think they're having a decent season. I think they can. They're running the ball well, and defense is playing good. I think they can win games without him right now and get him healthy and get him back in there.
Yeah. So that will do it for the questionable list. These following players are out, done, finito, other words for end. Get these guys out of your lineup if you can. Depending on how seriously injured they are, you might want to look to dropping them altogether. But getting right into things, Rashad Jennings, running back for the New York Giants, is out. He's hoping to return November 9th. Of course, tomorrow is not November 9th. So Rashad Jennings will not be out there tomorrow against the Indianapolis Colts. Giovanni Bernard, I said earlier, is out with a hip and clavicle injury. Two very odd injuries to have at the very same time. And, of course, Monte Ball, I've mentioned him the past couple of weeks with a groin injury. He might get some time this coming Sunday. They might look to ease him back into the lineup. However, he will be playing second fiddle to Hillman just because of how well Hillman has been playing. And, of course, Ball not 100% healthy yet. We also have Fred Jackson. The Bills are on a bye this week, so that's very good for the Buffalo Bills, but he has a groin injury, went down last week. C.J. Spiller, of course, out. The Bills really hurting at the running game currently. So I will be sure to highlight Jackson next week. I'll give you an update on his status. And then finally, it's Jordan Cameron, tight end for the Cleveland Browns. Been missing a lot of game time. This time, it's a concussion. So he is definitely ruled out for this Sunday. So once again, to repeat, those players, Rashad Jennings, Giovanni Bernard, Monte Ball, Fred Jackson, and Jordan Cameron are all the key players who will not be out on the field this Sunday and Monday. Gentlemen, any closing notes on trains with square wheels? Any players that jump out to you, or no additional information here? No?
Nope. Then Martin, I guess, if he wasn't hurt, he would have been traded anyway, so that doesn't matter.
That is a point.
Yes.
We got about 11 minutes, all in favor of skipping a song and jumping right into our next segment. Say aye.
Aye.
All right. We're going to jump into the caboose. We're going to bring things home right here. All right. So, for the caboose, usually what I do is I focus on an aspect of fantasy football. I break down players, I break down statistics, I compare things, contrast, all of that good jazz. This week, we're taking a step back. We're looking at the NFL overall, not from a fantasy point of view. The debate has been raging for really a long time, but this week it looks like it's going to get elevated. When the Washington Redskins meet the Minnesota Vikings in Minnesota, apparently, a couple thousand protesters are going to be outside the stadium. Minnesota, of course, has a lot of Native American tribes based there. So, gentlemen, I want to talk about the Washington Redskins. I want to talk about the possibility of a name change, what Dan Snyder should do in this situation. So just to throw out, again, a couple stats here for this the Washington Redskins before we get into things. Again, thousands will be protesting outside the stadium. In a survey, actually, 53% of the team's fans who acknowledged yes, they actually acknowledged yes, that they understand that the team they love is actually an inappropriate term for a Native American. That's 53. Of course, Minneapolis is actually the birthplace of the American Indian movement, so that is why the protests are gathering here. Lots of tribes are based out there. So let's just start and let's think about it from an objective point of view. Yes or no, should the Redskins change their name? Dad, I'll start with you.
No.
Why not? Give your opinion.
Well, I believe, why is it wrong? Because is the word red in front of skins? Or, is it the whole...
The debate is that Redskins are
I mean, for years,
a derogatory term for Native Americans.
I mean, for years up here, it used to be the Orange Men. That is now why we are the
Yes.
Syracuse Orange.
Yes, we're now the Orange. Because of the Onondaga Nation territory, but also because it's not just men who go to the university. That is a legit thing. It's women and men. So it was just the Syracuse Orange.
So it is because it's actually the adjective in front of Redskins.
Yeah, I mean,
because you have the
it's over-
Seminoles,
it's-
you have the Braves and other sports,
right.
Warriors.
But the difference here is that the Redskins is not the name of a Native American tribe. The Seminoles are, and like I said, a lot of people, specifically a lot of advocates for Native American rights, cite Redskins as a derogatory term. And I just want to point out to all my listeners, this is a very fine line, but it's worth being discussed, especially on a football-based radio show. So, Dad,
I would leave it alone, Redskins.
Okay. All right, Uncle John.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, this has been going for many, many years.
Absolutely.
For many franchises. I see no reason, in my personal opinion, that it should be changed.
Justin?
I mean, I think an important thing with this is kind of go from the point of view of the people who are being offended.
Yeah.
I think that's, what was the statistic you said, 53%?
53% of the fans, regardless of their ethnicity, they love the team and they do acknowledge, yes, it is offensive.
I mean, I think if 53% of their fans had acknowledged that it's offensive, I mean, I think another important statistic would be to see how many of Native Americans would feel that it's offensive. And I mean,
Totally.
I think as a society, as we go forward, if there are things that are offensive to a group of people, I mean, I think we need to,
Certainly
adjust
consider.
that view.
Definitely.
And, I mean, if you look in the past as to what things we thought were socially acceptable, a lot of things we don't think are now. So
Absolutely.
I mean, I think if the individuals that are offended by it think it is a derogatory name, then I think that should be something that we take into account. I mean, yeah.
Ralph, your overall
I just
view.
think they should keep the name as the Redskins. It's always been the Redskins, and I think it will always be the Redskins.
Yeah, and of course, to play devil's advocate here, Dan Snyder, the Washington organization, is saying that the Washington Redskin, the actual mascot, is not to be in a derogatory negative connotation. However, on the other side of things, you just have the word Redskin, is generally a derogatory term. So again, a very fine line to walk here. Now, it's interesting pointing out because let's say, for example, this name does get changed. We don't have to worry about what it's getting changed to. Is this the only team that has to worry about this? I mean, you have the Cleveland Indians, you have the Atlanta Braves. Where is the line drawn? And I'm not, criticizing anything. I just want to make that apparent. Where does it begin? Where does it end? And how far do you go? Just general thoughts. Anybody?
I just think there's a lot more things going on in this country and this world that we should be worrying about than a name of a professional sports name.
Certainly a valid opinion. Absolutely. Uncle John, Justin, Ralph, anybody?
I agree with Mike. Yep.
Justin?
I mean, Keaton, what you said before about that the other teams, they're named after Indian tribes and things of that nature. I mean, I think that's something to keep in mind.
Yeah.
However, I understand that there are important things. More, some people might say that there are more important things going on. However, I think it's important to the people who are upset about it, and I think that's
Definitely.
I mean, Justin was right. Let's ask the Native Indians how they feel about it, because I mean, some people might feel honored and proud of having their name out there or associated in a business or a team.
There are varying opinions across, but I think based just in the Washington, D.C. area, I believe the overall opinion is that it's depicting in a negative
Right, because you got to remember also in Washington, D.C., they went from the Washington Bullets to the Washington Wizards, too.
That's true.
So it might be a location thing also.
Yeah.
Gentlemen, any closing thoughts? Washington Redskins, football, anything like that?
Quick opinion on the 5 games going over to London.
Yes. Let me hear it.
I think it's a good thing because this way each of the a lot of fans over there, and instead of having a team permanently over there, which I think would be wrong.
That would be ridiculous.
This way the fans over there will see 10 different NFL teams.
Sure. And actually,
and that might be better than having your own personal team over there. And the travel is just impossible.
it is.
To go back and forth.
And it's worth mentioning just to close things out. There were actually talks of ESPN that eventually there's going to be one game a week over there in London. So people in London will actually be able to buy a season ticket to see, possibility 32 different teams.
Right.
I'm getting some very negative looks
I mean,
in the studio.
Take your cities around here. I mean, because we live near the Philadelphia area. I mean, it might be good. So you get 10 different teams coming in there.
Might be.
Instead of going down and watching the Eagles every week or, every 8 weeks to play. You get other teams in there. Because everybody mostly goes down to Philly to see their team play.
Sure.
So that's my opinion on that.
Lots of great information discussed here. Gentlemen, that is going to wrap up the Fantasy Express. Give yourselves a round of applause. That was an awesome show.
Go Hawks.
Very, very cool. Go Hawks. There you
The
go.
Raiders.
The Raiders. Vikings, Cowboys.
I'd like to say something. I just got a Sports Center app update.
Okay.
And Week 18 in the NFL, the Oakland Raiders are playing St. Mary's School for the girls. They have a chance to win because Sister Mary Joseph will be out that week.
She has a groin injury.
I'm sorry about that. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. It was an absolutely unbelievable show. We'll be back next
Qs.
week, most likely by myself. Be sure to watch the Q's game, watch some football. Have a great day. That is it for us. And I go to Syracuse, so go Orange. Thank you guys so much. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Gonna get to it tomorrow, but they don't care at all. They're gonna ease your pain and sorrow, but we had the same before. All my loving friends taking nothing home, and I can't be the one to lay troubles on. All the homes are broken, and what are they gonna do? There's no magic potion.